Welcome to this guided project series, Programming for Everyone, where you will build a fun web app while learning how to program. My name is Manohar, and I will be the instructor for this guided project series. My primary motivation in offering this guided project series is to make programming accessible. Thus, this guided project series is for anyone who wishes to learn how to write software programs. You do not need any prior programming skills to complete these projects, since these projects aim to teach you those skills. We will use the R programming language for the projects in this series. I've been working with the R programming language for several years, building predictive models and deploying web apps. The R programming language is very popular with data scientists. In case you have prior experience programming in R or any other programming language, you're also welcome to join this guided project series. You will probably find it easier to complete the project. You may also find the pace a bit slow. I'm really excited to get you started on your programming journey. As you will see, it's really not difficult to pick up programming skills. Here are the 4 guided projects in this series. In this first guided project, Programming Foundations, we will learn the building blocks of a software program. In the second guided project in this series, we will use those building blocks to build a fun web app. In the third guided project in this series, we will learn how to work with data. And in the fourth guided project in this series, we will use HTML and CSS to style the web app that we create in guided project number 2. Let's talk a bit about the terminology. In this guided project series, we will use the words programming and coding interchangeably to refer to the writing of a software program. Similarly, the words program and code will refer to a software program. Often, you may also hear the words source code to refer to a program. Now let me show you the apps that we will create in this guided project series. In the second guided project in this series, we will create an app like this. This app shows locations of restaurants. In San Antonio, Texas, you will create an app to show locations of restaurants in your favorite city. These blue markers indicate the location of the restaurant. This label is the name of the restaurant. And if I click on the marker, it brings up a pop-up that displays the address and phone number of the restaurant. Now this app can display restaurants only from one city. We will enhance this app in the third guided project, and this is how it will look. It will have a drop down here in the top right corner, and this will enable us to display restaurants from multiple cities. So here I'm displaying restaurant from Mombasa. I can switch the cities and get the restaurants in the city of San Antonio. In the third guided project, we will learn how apps are laid out. We will also learn how to work with data. Those two things will help us add a drop-down and select between multiple cities. Notice that the pop-up is still quite simple. In the fourth guided project in this series, we will further enhance this app. We have this drop-down with 2 cities, but the difference is in the marker here. If I click on the marker here, notice that the pop-up is much nicer, and here's the name of the restaurant. If I click on it, it's a link. It brings up the website of the restaurant. You can use an app like this to plan your next get-together, for example. The code that we wrote for this app can be reused to create several different types of apps. For example, here's a similar app that displays the locations of capital cities of some of the South Asian countries. And if I click on the marker, I get a pop-up, and this is a link. And if I click on it, I get a web page on Sri Lanka. The only difference between the two apps is the data. In this app, the data was the locations of the cities and the names of the cities. In this app, the data was the locations of the restaurants and the names of the restaurants. And as you will see as we proceed in the series, that it's not very difficult to create these apps. So in this task, we got introduced to the guided project series. We saw what we will create at the end of the second, third, and fourth guided projects. Recall that in this first project, we will learn the building blocks of a software program. In the next task, I will introduce you to the tool that we will use to write our software programs. So I will see you in a short while.